You're listening to the Third Watch News Update at the Field Report. Every day I have some challenges I face, whether to do a report or not, because I know one of these days, and it's coming very soon, that our posts either are not going to be, or they're going to be deleted, or there'll be some kind of community strike. So while the fire is hot, we're going to strike, okay? Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. No matter who you are, no matter what kind of relationship I've ever had with anyone, whether you're at my YouTube channel or somebody I know one-on-one, I must say this. We have challenges before us that we would have not ever had before. I mean, 30 years ago, we didn't have an internet. So we have access to things, but there's also a downside to it. Let me get to this report. U.S. troops have been sent to Afghanistan, 8,400, expected of 3,000 or 5,000 additional troops. Why am I going to report this? I think a lot of people know that there's been a war there for some time, and why we're still there. There are plenty, maybe explanations, but here's my concern. So this initial report might not be relevant for right now. It is actually what you need to watch, because if you follow this news story, now it's time to prepare. It's time to make sure you have some things worked out with whoever you have in your life. I mean, it's long overdue. If you don't have water or some kind of supplies, you're going to need it, okay? Depending on where you live, if that volcano itself, it could go. We're not saying it could go today, but it's possible that looking at those swarms, it's about to blow, okay? And when I heard this plea from somebody at the top of the leadership in the military, told me, crying, literally, knows that this is real. The loss of life, and the only way people would feel safe is build some kind of underground. But the air quality, you're thinking about all these things, think about that, okay? I know people that build houses, okay? They have built houses where part of their house is underground and a part of their house is above ground. I mean, literally, they've had to redesign their homes. I mean, it's not the time to be playing games. No matter how much you want to build onto your dreams, this is the time to prepare. If you have built your dreams, build your dreams, get downstairs and start making your home, just start getting it ready, okay? Get prepared. And what is it going to take if you have drums of water, a water buffalo, water bob? That's one of the things I would suggest. Like with American Survival Wholesale, this guy has the water bob where you can fill up the water and you can put it in the tub. It's going to take a little bit more than that amount of water, but that's just a start, okay? When our troops are over there, that's less protection here. And as long as we don't have a border and we have the kind of crimes that have been reported or continue to come out, okay, because what we know about the border, okay, has been going on for some time. Whatever was coming into this country is violent and dangerous, not kind of violence that some of us might be used to. We're not talking about political violence. We're talking a whole different type of crime. And it's always my concern when people ignore the stories, or they're too busy to follow it, okay? That concerns me. Or when you don't get a response. We need to talk about it, though. Every person who, is going to have some level of safety concerns. And then if you've ever been assaulted, your senses are up, okay? That's typical of a survivor. So my concern is, we don't know necessarily why we're in these wars, but I have to tell you, the war here is just as bad. And this news report, of course, if you have been following the Yellowstone National Park regarding the swarm of earthquakes, I got this warning firsthand. I must share this. This is going to blow, and they're watching it. Our military is watching this. And the kind of concerns we have right now is that the magma underneath this is as large as Mexico. And you're talking about magma, and this is going to be a global event, okay? We don't know how much time we really have when it comes to this type of news alert, okay? But it's time now for people to know what kind of ash and what region and how it would fall into your area. Texas, you're looking at 6 feet of ash. Contaminate all water, all wildlife. I mean, this is going to be that kind of event. Okay, so look to your region and look at what that would look like. Okay, pay attention. It's time to get your water, your supplies, get into an area where you'll be least affected. But everywhere in the world, it'll be affected because of volcanism. Okay, so I said that. You have to know at this point what you need to do to prepare and find out for yourself. You got to do your own homework. Let's get to this report because this concerns me as well. Murder of Muslim girl blamed on Trump was committed by an illegal immigrant. Well, that was the whole point why President Trump has been arguing for the wall. So a crime like this wouldn't happen. This is not about a religious issue as they would like to report it. This is about a crime that can be prevented. More crimes like this, okay? The depiction of President Trump's assassination. Do you understand the message that they're sending out here? You know, this kind of violence is so incredible. I would be the first one to censor this news, okay? I don't want that kind of rubbish in my home, okay? I'm thinking to myself, this is not what we need to be hearing right now. We're looking at some serious events, okay? If you have a super volcano that's going to be erupting, and it could erupt very soon, do you think we're going to have time to peddle this political back and forth? See, this is the time where this country needs to be united. Okay, so obviously this is always a distraction, especially the political back and forth. But anytime they start putting out these false headlines, it's dangerous. It's absolutely dangerous. I've heard some people say, well, why do you freak us out with this news? It's not meant to freak you out. You have time right now to prepare. If you're fortunate enough, you'll have enough supplies and you'll be able to save up enough money and at least get a small stockpile. I mean, for a single person that's on, like, you know, debit card, EBT card, or etc., you have to prepare. At this point, there's going to come a time you can't work. It won't matter how many nice titles you have. I mean, it's going to matter about survival and having, you know, some backup supply like vitamin D and things that will help you sustain life. Like for somebody who is, you know, dependent on medication, this is why I emphasize praying. You got to get that part right with God, okay? That will help you through these hard times. I mean, 23% of people that get sick, when they pray, they heal faster. It is actually a fact. So it's not going to hurt somebody to trust Jesus Christ and look to him. Now, some people, of course, say these are catastrophic events. Is Jesus coming? Yeah, well, it's very possible. But right now, I mean, no one knows the day or hour. We know that. That's the Bible stating that. See, my concern is not the political violence that's going on the surface, because the people that are preparing, that have already had the millions of dollars in preparation, they're prepared for this. It's the people that are fighting amongst themselves that are not prepared. A lot of the people that are fighting right now, they'll be the first ones to die because they're disregarding this news. And for somebody who's already secure and safe and's got all their family, and it's not going to matter to them, because whatever goes on the surface, you know what I mean? So I kind of think this political fighting is not really helping us. I mean, yeah, you might have some disagreement with them. All in all, you need to be safe. You need to have, you know, somewhere you can escape to, okay, for safety reasons. So a lot of the news we see, I think it's more of a distraction from preparing what is really much more dangerous. And it is this volcano. And this is coming from a top military official, okay? This is too important. For some of you, you know, we spend a lot of our time talking about political views. At the end of the day, I want to make sure I know that the people around me, we have each other's back and we have some idea of being on the same team. Right now, that is the method of safety, and that is the way life is now. It's not, I can't go back. Now that there have been so many violent crimes committed, even like in the case with Representative Scalise, I mean, that's how dangerous it's getting. You could disagree with somebody's political views, but at the end of the day, somebody shot a representative. It hasn't happened before. When was the last time, any of you remember when somebody in a politically have been shot and almost killed. When have you seen this? When was it? Ronald Reagan? This is getting to the point of scary, okay? That it should be, you should be kind of concerned. I am concerned. I wouldn't be doing this report just to get a rise out of somebody. I could shut off the news and I could be content with it, but the thing is, I'm not content not sharing this with somebody around me. Some of you have experienced what it is to lose your home over a flood. You know what it's like. Some of you have experienced the loss of family because of a big family crisis, or somebody's been severely injured. So I certainly don't want to upset people unnecessarily, but if you know the conditions of your home, you know that there's some things that you can sustain you for some time. And I have to share this because you probably won't hear it from anybody else. I was praying with a top military soldier, and suddenly some things started to happen last night. We could not explain this, okay? Let's just say there were three lightning strikes that hit in the same location earlier. They were to go to a mission. They were supposed to be on a mission, and each mission was supposed to describe. These three missions were supposed to be some of the deadliest missions that any of these military guys and girls have ever been on. And it got scrubbed because we kept praying and praying that God would intervene. Well, they got a phone call. The commander got a phone call from a guy that was a field commander saying he literally saw an angel throw a lightning strike. Now, listen, that's secondhand story, but it's kind of ironic because we were praying that they wouldn't have to go on this mission. And I kept getting a phone call after phone call after phone call. We kept praying, and before you know it, one mission was scrubbed. One mission was this. So praying for some reason or another. I didn't see it, okay? But we were praying while it was happening. So that, to me, while I didn't have to see it, I certainly knew when they start jumping up and down, that the mission, the very place they were supposed to go, was hit with lightning 3 times. 3 separate missions, 3 separate strikes of lightning. And while we were praying up a storm. I'm not kidding you. I'm telling you, God is on our side. And for some people that don't know Jesus Christ, they say, oh, this is a bunch of hocus pocus. Hey, listen, when you got 5,000 soldiers ready to be deployed to an area, and 3 lightning strikes hit the very area, they didn't even have to go on the mission. That is something to be praised. I know none of you are going to hear this story because you know what? I'm the only one that could tell you this, honestly, okay? I wasn't there to see the lightning strike, but that was the report I got, okay? So I now suddenly know that we got some serious things going on, but at the same time, when we were praying up a storm, I mean, I've never had that happen to me. We just kept praying, though, and we're going to keep praying. It's that important. Get ready. This is not news you're going to hear anywhere else. No one knows that story firsthand but me. Otherwise, everybody else that's in these operations, they're either being deployed or maybe my prayer is that whatever plan it is, it's interrupted. I'm asking, I urge you, start praying for one another. That is probably more serious than anything. Listen, I know there's a lot of issues that some of us have. We've had some issues growing up and some difficulties, but if you can trust some of the people around you, that you know that they have your back, because it's going to mean that people are going to risk their lives for one another. It's not going to be as self-centered as you think. I think sometimes what we underestimate or what a crisis can do, it can bring out the best in others. So my prayer is that you start getting prepared to be a team. If there's one way to ensure your safety, it's learning to work with others under different circumstances. It is a matter of life and death, and it's for survival. You don't think that if military men and women were going to operation by themselves that they would win a battle? It just doesn't happen like that. So the same applies for people that live in their homes and neighborhoods. You have to think like what military soldiers would do. And when you're working with a team and people working together and there's no threat of danger, because you're going to make sure that every person in that squad is not at risk of an assault or an attack. You have to make sure that everyone passes some kind of background. It's that important. We're talking about lives, okay? And when it comes down to safety, there are some things I know. In an event like that, you got to know how to react. So self-defense, knowing how to fight back, this is going to protect you and your team. Say you don't have any family, you better start building a team of people to work together. People don't survive out there by themselves. They're fooling themselves. You need each other. Anyone that pretends that they don't need somebody, they're fooling themselves. I focus on teamwork and focus on safety. Thank you for listening. Thank you for listening to my blog post. I want to open up to some of you personally why I do the third watch. And it's not for the same reasons that some of you know, but I want to talk to you. I've been around enough people that undermine people long enough that when we share a story, it's not to upset anybody, it's to prepare them. And the reason being is that many of us have walked in on situations where we weren't prepared. And the best way to prepare is being knowledgeable about a topic. Now, there's some topics I'm not very familiar with, so I'll add the information below in the description box. The reason why is that most people end up going through shock, they're traumatized, they're abused. And a lot of times, the fear of not knowing, the fear of the unknown, has more an effect on somebody and their ability to function. I know this because I lived it. I walked in on a man that was raping children at 14 years old. It has changed my life, but it didn't change it for the worse. In some cases, I learned how to survive. And I spent my life trying to share with people about stories like this. I've opened up to a lot of you in a personal way about some of the things that happened to me younger. There's always somebody out there that's going to discredit our story. Okay, I'm prepared for that. I share it because I know that there are some people today that are going to walk in on it. I know. It might be some young girl. It might be some mom or dad. And I know some of you know that when somebody walks in on something like that, it changes your life. So I look at these events the same way. Maybe not the same in this case regarding the cases that we've discussed at the court of public opinion. Personally, I know there's a lot of other blogs you can be listening to. Trust me, they offer just as much answers and solutions and maybe some problem-solving techniques. But what I've learned on the internet is it's becoming more divided. There are people in their groups and cliques, and that's good. But there's a lot of us left out here on our own, and we have to form what I believe will be some kind of group. And that's why I offered the Court of Public Opinion to do that. And I'm going to keep doing that. I want you to be prepared for what you might encounter at some point. You have to have self-defense techniques. You have to know how to protect yourself. And no matter how many people demonize somebody, the idea is not to become a victim. See, at 14 and 16 and throughout my life, I spent my life relying on people to do it for me when, in fact, that is the worst thing that could ever have happened to me. Fortunately for me, I had a father that was in the Marine Corps and told me some things after the fact, though. I didn't know what I needed to know to survive or maybe defend myself or what to prepare for. Sadly, unfortunately, there are situations right now where if you have to jump in your car, you better be quick on your feet and you better have all your important paperwork. And there are things you can do, like get a cooler, put it in your trunk, make sure there's extra food. You don't know if in the middle of a weather event, if you're stuck on the highway, you want to have something in your trunk. So things like this, you shouldn't have to wait till an event happens. It's time to have that stuff in your truck now or your car now. It's time to have an extra supply or have access to silver coins, because that is going to be currency that people will accept. There are things we can do right now. Okay, I can't overemphasize it anymore, and I don't want to. There are situations where it'll interrupt the day-to-day things, like just being able to get good, healthy rest, just being able to pray, to communicate with your family, the basic things that you need to have. You have to have basic communication, and I pray that you have a good relationship with the people around you that you can communicate with, because when there is an emergency, you have to be effective in how you communicate. talking slow down, calming yourself down, trusting. The last thing you want to do is fearing the worst, okay? Most of the time when we fear the worst, it doesn't always happen like that, but the fear itself can do a lot to somebody. This is why we want you to know what to expect ahead of time.